What's up, YouTube? Lord Zath bringing you another episode of Zath's Replay Theater. And once again, we're joined by Puddin597 in his Kurfurst this time.
Hello.
And, oh, cool, you have SRM
Sorry, I was lighting a
Shiramoto.
cigarette.
You have Shiramoto in here, that's cool.
Who?
Shiramoto, that's
Oh,
Captain SRM. She has a really good YouTube channel. A lot of really fun videos. I think that it stands for Sharon Rose Motorhead or Motor something like that. Anyway, are you loading into the game, sir?
yeah, I'm in the game and I paused now at 1956.
Okay, well, before we start, can you tell us a little bit about the Kurfürst and what's so awesome about it?
Well, I think it has the most hit points. It's also the biggest ship in the game. It has its own zip code.
Definitely.
I run with the 420s over the 16-inch guns. I prefer alpha damage over rate of fire. I am running a full secondary build, minus secondary reload. I believe I have the gun reload instead. All my flags are for secondaries and secondaries to cause fire because all of them shoot HE, which makes them the best secondary build because there is no AP or HE coming from your secondaries. It's all HE.
Right.
And of course, I go with spotter plane over, or I go with fighter over spotter because I fear carriers more, especially after the US rework. And I have an issue shooting with the spotting plane. If the target's not sitting still, I'm just god awful with it.
Roger that.
Also gets glorious 5.8 kilometer hydro. You can get a very good AA build if you spec fully in the AA, and
Right.
you would have to get AFT and manual, but
Right.
that's just costly for me.
For those of you guys who aren't familiar with the flag setup here, I'm going to click or point to them here. So we've got fire chance flag here, another fire chance flag here. This one reduces fire duration. This is your secondary buff, so longer range, reload, and better accuracy by I think 5% for all three of those. This increases the amount of damage that's recovered when you use repair party, and this one is basically your protection from detonations. If you're going to invest a lot of flags and camo and other stuff, then sometimes you might want to invest in a little protection as well.
Well, this is one of the few battleships I actually throw on the dead flags because I'm running all the flags to cause more fires, which a higher chance of detonation.
That's
I don't want
correct.
to get detonated in this.
Now this looks like the premium camo, right? The perma camo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
Let me know when you are ready to get going.
One quick question. You have, I believe, 2 flag slots available. Why didn't you run any other flags like decreasing cost for running the ship or credit gain or whatever?
Well, I don't run the decrease credit gain because the premium camo is 50%, and I'm not playing my tier 10s to make any sort of money. So that I don't care about because I've got the camo.
Fair. Okay. Just thought I'd ask.
Like some of the other flags, I panic when I get to 100 or 150, so I'll demount some of those until I get a stockpile built up again.
Gotcha.
So I think that's why I'm not running the speed flag, because I'm low on those, and there are other ships that need it a little bit more than this thing, because you're not going to outrun the Kurfürst really.
Right. Now, for those of you guys who maybe don't know the ship too well, sorry, go ahead, bud.
No, just let me, I'm still at 1956.
Yep.
For still paused. Okay.
I'm still paused. I'm just a little bit farther ahead because I had to take a couple screenshots, and you can't do it in the slowest. But the big thing about the ship, if you notice, it is incredibly large. This thing's a floating island, It's very slow to respond to rudder inputs, and it's very slow to stop and reverse. So the hydro might kind of fool you into this false sense of security that you're safe from torpedoes, and then you drift into tons of them and die. That happened to me quite a bit in the Friedrich the Grosse, the tier 6, or sorry, tier 9, and to a limited extent in the Bismarck as well. So something to keep in mind, folks.
Well, I really wish they would give the Bismarck back the 5.8 hydro because of the way tier 8 matchmaker is. Like when they did do the nerf to the Bismarck, tier 8s were the seal clubbing tier, but with the way matchmaking has changed, the Bismarck's way more tier 10 games.
Absolutely.
So I would like to see that back. Feel bad if anybody is going up against the Bismarck and they are top tier, but you know, the other side of the coin is a lot of the times that ship is also bottom tier.
Right, and I think that's kind of a result of the Bismarck in ranked, is it did so well with the hydro especially. Okay, so one other thing I'm going to mention real quickly has to do with the secondaries, and if you look at the secondaries, you'll notice that there are 2 calibers, 150 millimeter, and these beauties here. These are the 128s, the same ones you find on the Gneisenau, and these things are amazing at shredding aircraft. They have very good anti-air. I believe they also get the 1/4 pen rule too for HE, don't they, for the shells?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure if that nerf went through just the German cruisers or if they did German calibers.
Fair enough. All right, you ready to get this show on the road, sir?
I am ready.
Okay, so go ahead and start the game and tell me when you get to 1945 and just count down from there for 5 seconds.
1950. 45, 44, 43, 42, 41, 40.
Okay. Cool. I think we're good. I'm at 34, 33, 32.
Yep, I think we're actually dead on.
Nice. I'm getting better at this.
Only took a while.
Yeah. So, all right. So this is obviously your top tier because you're in a tier 10 and you're on Shatter. And so you're heading off towards the 9-10 line, huh?
Well, my game plan is to utilize that little island in front of me to potentially get somebody on C. Maybe not go all the way out to the 10 line, but try to get some flanking shots in the C for what inevitably is going to be parked behind C on their side of the island. Because let's face facts, Shatter is... Whoever wins A usually is going to win the game because C turns into who can outlast sitting behind the island at C and not make a move.
Gotcha.
Which is why I'm more of a big believer in a A strategy, but I also don't like leaving a flank completely wide open.
Well, yeah, and we've seen so many times, you and I, on this map particularly, we lose one side of the flank and they just rush into B and then they roll up the entire match.
Yeah, so with what I see going on in the minimap right now, we've had our Minotaur leave us. Our DD looks as if he's going into B, which leaves the Baltimore, North Carolina, and myself to hold this flank. So my mentality right now is I have to hold this flank. I have to sit here and die.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much my mentality right now. Is I'm going to die. It's how much damage and how many people can I take with me before they eventually get me.
Yeah, and it doesn't help when you've got a freaking E-fight going on with your team there, unfortunately. Oh, Minotaur! Hello, Minotaur.
Now, of course, for those of you who do not know, the replays do not show me manually clicking on any of the ships. So whenever you see my Nurembergs activate, I have clicked on the ship to activate my Nurembergs. Right now I'm cursing this goddamn island because Nurembergs are not shooting the Kagero.
Right. Now, you might... Do you have range on this Charles? No, you don't. Never mind. Yeah, but you're about to nail that, No, you're not. You nailed the island. Good job.
Aha! But one shell made it through and did...
Yes.
Might have overtime, but... you know what? I'm going to take that shot all day, every day, because maybe that one turns into the Citadel.
Well, right. Plus, you're also running the 420, so you have really good reload anyways.
No, the 16-inch have the better reload, but I'm running the reload module.
Oh, okay, that's what it is. Gotcha.
That's why my reload is so good. I did run full secondaries, including with the reload for the secondaries, but your bread and butter's your main guns.
Right. Now, why didn't you run Hydro here?
Because I'm running away. I wasn't too worried about their torps.
Okay. Well, I was just thinking that might have helped in North Carolina.
They already sent their torps at the Baltimore, North Carolina earlier. Gotcha. So, by waste of Hydro, I save my Hydro for when I'm rushing the smoke cloud.
Very smart.
Because if you just pay attention, you know, you're not going to run into the torps. It's when I'm rushing that smoke cloud is when I'm going to need it. Oh, luckily the Pan Asian killed killed the enemy Kagero, so it's just gearing over here.
And I see the Charles Martel is using skill shells against you.
That's fine by me. I'm angled. Skill away. Now, ironically, this Charles Martel that we are facing was in a game previous to me. Literally the game right before this one.
Oh, nice. Citadel. That was like a rudder set or something. Jeez.
Lower Citadel can still hit you full broadside, idiot.
Yep.
But got into a heated debate with this Charles Martel about using AP all the time. And he told me I didn't know what I was talking about.
Clearly not.
So, I did notice the Minotaur was starting to go forward, which is why I kind of held the first shot and moved it up a little bit, hoping he can't get going. But I always forget the British cruisers can get up and go. They just take a week and a half to slow down.
Correct. I do like the fact, though, that you basically by yourself are holding this entire flank. I mean, your teammates were there to possibly threaten the enemy, but they also dove behind the island for cover. So, really, you're the only one out there that's exposed right now, and they're too afraid to challenge you.
Well, you know what I say, you can't get a dreadnought if you don't take damage.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm way past the point of I've got to start mitigating a lot of this damage, and unfortunately I'm making this turn to continue to stop this push. And oh look, the Charles had his skill loaded the whole time, so
right.
Unfortunately I knew that was going to come anyways.
Now, for
he actually duped me out with his slowdown.
For those of you guys who don't know, skill shells, I call those AP shells when people are firing them at you when you're, like, you know, angled, because all they're going to do is twang, 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 bounce off you, and you're just going to laugh. I mean, sometimes they'll overpen, sure, but... And then, of course, playing up to spot that Bismarck, which is very smart.
Well, now, I also did it for... I'll run my plane, and then when that goes down, if I don't feel comfortable, I'll run my Hydro. The way I usually have something to notify me for something, but... I'm not liking making this turn either, because I'm going to have to show my side to this Bismarck.
Right. And going back to the AP shells from cruisers, on a broadside target, like with you broadsiding this Bismarck right now, AP is perfect even for a cruiser to be using. But, you know, keep in mind, for those of you that are watching, typically you don't want to be firing AP at a target when they're bow on or stern on to you. You want to be firing it when they're broadside to you.
I mean, just look at... I mean, if the Charles was shooting HE, I might prioritize him as a bigger threat than this Bismarck.
Yeah, you might also be dead right now.
Yeah, but because he's shooting AP, I'm just ignoring him. I'm not even putting my secondaries on him. I am trying to get rid of the threat that's in front of me. Now,
And you shot a little high there, too.
Well, into the superstructure,
Yeah.
back out of
Exactly. I just wanted to point that out for our viewers because the Bismarck is bow onto, or kind of at least angled. So if you fired straight at his belt, that would just bounce, bounce, bounce. And
I love running the module to protect my main guns and still losing my main guns.
Yeah, it happens. But, he's moving slow enough to where you can take your time and really decide where you want to shoot.
Well, it also looks like he beached himself right here.
Yep.
I'm definitely trying to keep the Nurembergs into play. With having manual secondaries, I could increase the distance a little bit, but actually the further away you are, 8 to 10 kilometers, your secondaries will do more work for you than closer because they aim for the center of the ship. So the further away, you get a little bit of an arc. So
Right.
they hit the superstructure and not the main belt. But if you don't have manual secondaries, get in close. Let the dispersion work for you.
I do like how you immediately damage controlled, and normally you wouldn't want to do that, but this Charles is just shooting skill shells at you, so who cares, right?
As I finally get the Citadel. But yeah, he's shooting AP at me. I'm low. I need to preserve my health because
Right.
at this point we've stopped the push and are actually getting the seat cap. So, luckily for us, we've had caps longer than them.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
Over penetration. Or not over, overmatch.
but yeah, Charles makes the huge mistake because now his spaced armor is working completely against him because my shells have to travel through his entire ship to do anything. But at this point, I'm still not sure if he's moving forward slowly or reversing, so I aim directly at the bow because that will tell me what he's doing.
Right, and you're expecting this Minotaur to basically steal the kill before you can get another shot off. Which makes sense, because he's got that rate of fire. Yep, there it is.
But, click on the Nurembergs just to guarantee the kill.
Yep.
Because it didn't seem like the Minotaur was doing anything. But, what I mean by not doing anything means he hadn't ranged him in yet. Because the Minotaur does have lofty shells.
He also sat broadside to him and took a couple AP hits. And got some pretty decent damage taken from that.
Well, better for the Minotaur to take damage at this point than me.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mentioned earlier overmatch, and what that means is that basically Putin's artillery, Putin's main guns were so large in caliber that they went straight through the bow armor, and it doesn't matter what angle he had because the way it works is there's a formula: 14.3 times your armor can be overmatched. So basically, your caliber is 420, right?
Correct.
So you take 420 and you divide by 14.3, and whatever that result is, you're going to overmatch that amount of armor or lower, which basically means that angling is pointless. It just goes straight through. So when Putin was mentioning about how the Charles had the spaced armor working against him, what he's basically saying is that the Charles, by going bow in and slowing down, he just made himself a sitting duck.
Yeah, now, at this point, I'm debating on who do I go and face tank, the Yatago or the Izuma. Because they're probably going to get C, or we're going to get on it just in time to stop them from capping it. They're losing badly. They have 60 points. They do have one cap. Yeah, they got C. We're going to get B. The DD's probably going to die because he's in a crappy position. And you're going to hear something you don't normally hear from me, do you? I'm close to 200k damage. Fuck the Yatago, I'm going for the Izuma. I would like to crack 200k.
Fair enough. And plus, I mean, come on, look at the score. You're probably okay. I think, unfortunately, your Minotaur is thinking the same thing, which is go for the damage. And he might get himself nuked quite easily here, too.
And What a shame that time extension would be.
Right?
But that is why I turned and get into a kiting position, so I'm angled, slowing down as I get my head caliber. Figured the Minotaur was going to do this. This is a smart play by the Minotaur. Let me take the damage. It's just a matter of can I survive now?
Yeah.
But you know what? A lot of this information where we talk about over mechanics, gameplay mechanics, that I do get, and Zath's probably going to laugh at me. A lot of this information's on the wiki.
That's right.
Like, I can't pimp out the wiki enough. Like, it's a go-to page for me. Luckily for me, the Izuma decides to try to nuke the Minotaur and smoke. I'm actually aiming for this guy's front guns to try to knock them out to give our Minotaur a fighting chance.
Right.
Because I don't know how close this Izuma is to him, whether he can spot him in the smoke or not. Might as well try for the double strike. But I know this game is actually ending really, really quickly right here.
Right.
Neither one of these two are going to last.
And look at the salt in the chat.
No, of course. Yes, how dare us play smart. God forbid us do that.
Oh, more skill shells coming out. Actually, no. You're broadside, so that's a good hit. That's a good shell you use, I should say.
If only he could hit.
If only you could aim.
What
Boom!
was that? I got it.
Oh, nice job, man. That was awesome. And thanks for mentioning the wiki, because as you know, and hopefully many of the other people know, I do edit the wiki along with a whole bunch of other awesome crewmen. So if you're ever looking to help out the game and the community and stuff like that, and you're about improving the game and improving the community, and maybe not necessarily getting a lot of recognition for it, the wiki is the place for you. So it's good stuff, and absolutely tons of stuff that you can learn on that. It's almost like an unofficial manual for the game.
It needs to be official. I really wish they would put some sort of link to the wiki in the game client somewhere.
Yeah, that would be nice. I have a feeling it's coming at some point. We'll have to see. So, putting any closing comments, anything else you want to mention about this game? This was a pretty awesome game.
The reason I sent this to Zath is because, it's no secret we do play together, and
yeah.
The reason I sent this one to him is because, one, there were mistakes made by the enemy, there were mistakes made by me, not many. But it showcases you don't need to division up to do well. And you need to know your ship's strengths. And especially like a lot of the cruisers, only one cruiser was smart enough to use the proper shell, but I think the Atago only had AP to deal with the Minotaur, not with me, and he just got lucky I was turning broadside, and he missed the shot anyways.
I would agree, absolutely.
So you got to know your ships. Now, not all ships suit to your playstyle. Like, you and Sneaky both absolutely hate the Frederick the Grover. I love it.
Oh, I actually like it a lot.
Oh, I know Sneaky hates it, and the reason I bring that up is because he has phenomenal stats in this game. Mm-hmm. Like, if you look that stuff up, he's usually on the top 10 of whatever. And I'm in the top 1,000, which is fine by me. And I tell him, the ship's not your playstyle. That's why you hate it. Don't play a ship that is not your playstyle, or you can't get to work for you. It's going to turn into frustration, anger, and hatred. Find a ship that works for you. There's plenty of them.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Except for the British battleships. Don't play those.
Stay away.
You're just an outright douchebag.
That's right. You're just so dirty. And stay away from things like the Kutuzov. And, yeah. I don't know.
Hey, you want to go play Conqueror game real quick?
Oh man, well, Puddin', as always, it's I mean, it's fun to play with you in the division, but it's also fun to take a look at some of the replays that you send in too, and walk through them and stuff. And I hope one thing that I hope that you viewers are taking away from this replay is that Putin is playing for the team. When you watch how he's playing on the flank, you saw it at the beginning when I asked him why he's going where he's going. He said, I need to secure this flank for my team, and I know I'm probably going to die for it. And I think that's important that, you set your mindset to a certain way. He very easily could have dove behind the island of sea, just like the North Carolina and whatever that cruiser was that was with him. But he chose not to, and instead he stayed out on that flank, and he remained a threat to where he managed to kind of hold off a large part of the enemy push. And while he's holding the enemy push on that side, that's freeing up members of his team to go over to the A cap side, secure that cap, and then flex back over, which is exactly what Sharon did and a couple others did too.
Well, the other thing is, I think I don't blame the Baltimore. It's a cruiser. It's squishy, especially for the ships that were over there.
Absolutely.
At the start. So I don't blame the Baltimore. But what I allowed happen was, if they're going to push to deal with me and kill me, they're coming and they're going to give broadside to either me or the Baltimore.
Right.
The North Carolina was in the middle, so unfortunately, he's angled to everybody, but everybody's angled to him.
Absolutely.
And the North Carolina was probably the biggest threat for torps with where their DDs were, which is why at the end of the game you see me with still 4 hydros. I wasn't a threat to the destroyers. The enemy destroyers kind of did their job. They got B and then they moved on.
Right.
Thinking that, well, they've got the numbers. They should have been able to just push us. They would have lost some ships pushing us, but they would have won this flank easily if they would have just manned up and went for it. Well, I would have died fast. I probably wouldn't have died fast, but I would have died. North Carolina would have died. It just would be how many of the enemy ships would have died. Charles probably would have lived, but they would have definitely lost 2 battleships to get 3 ships.
Yes, and I think a lot of it too was the Charles not using HE shells and not trying to burn you down for whatever reason. Because do you run fire prevention on that ship?
Basics.
Okay.
I run basics of survivability.
So, I mean, essentially, he could get 3-4 fires on you and just keep you going for a while. Even though it doesn't run for the full amount, it still is going to do a lot of damage, especially considering you have a very large hit point pool and fires are percentage-based damage. So, I mean, had he been using HE and spamming HE on you, it could have been a very different battle.
Well, the other thing is HE would have knocked out a lot more of my secondaries, which could have turned the Bismarck fight into a very different fight.
Very good point, too.
But I had a lot of my secondaries because he wanted to AP me and just let me listen to clinking noises.
Oh, those are fun noises. All right, man. Well, thanks as always for diving and for doing this and for just being you, sir.
Oh, well, thank you.
All right. I'll see you in a couple minutes. I don't know. At some point in the near future. All right.
All right.